that once a stop occurs, all conduct on the part of police officers need to be appropriate and within the bounds of the law. I mean, that's contained in our statement, meaning when you're stopped, it needs to be not just because your police officer sees you're black or whatever, and once you're stopped, you need to be treated, the citizens need to be treated appropriately and within the bounds of the law. Third point we made in our statement, and that means no excessive force and assaults, intimidation, threats, and that type of thing. Third point is, notwithstanding that the state law expired requiring camera recordings of these stops, we favor and support continuing the use of cameras to record these occurrences, because that provides for transparency, monitoring, and so forth. So we state that right in our statement, and I think to the extent that the MPD and Chief Flynn have continued to use cameras, we support and commend that, even if the law doesn't require it, because that affords the type of transparency that's needed. The fourth statement we make is, and these may not be in this exact order for those of you who have the statements, is that we support collecting, accumulating, and reporting the data to the community at certain intervals. And whether it's twice a year or quarterly or whatever, the data needs to be reported and made available to the community so we can have these types of discussions and do analysis of the data and so forth. So we have that right in our statement. Now, the fifth thing we state in our statement is that we recognize that there's a disparity, meaning more African American drivers and other minorities are stopped relative to their numbers of drivers in the driving population as compared to white drivers. And we state in our statement that any disparity concerns us. The fact that there's a disparity concerns us. Now, I'm going to say right now, all of the things that I've stated above, that I've stated are the position of the national NAACP. I assume that I would think that there's not great disagreement on all of those points that I've just said. Now I will state where there may be a divergence, and I don't see the basis for a divergence really here, but these are some other things we said in our statement that some may have questions about. We went on to say in our statement that the police department, the Chief Flynn and the department takes the position, I mean, they provided a lot of data. We went to briefings with the department, and many citizens were there, and I have a copy of some of the data that really indicate that there's a direct correlation between, we all know Milwaukee has a high crime rate. We also know, let me state several facts. Milwaukee has a very high poverty rate. Some indicators have it as the third or fourth poorest city in the country. We know that that poverty is concentrated largely in minority communities, specifically the African American community. So it's a matter of how do you balance policing with trying to fight crime and provide livable neighborhoods. MPD's data indicates that as they have increased traffic stops, and these are stops not just according to them, because someone is driving down the street and happens to be black, but they are stopping people for all kinds of other infractions, meaning faulty tail light, faulty headlight, improper license plate, improper lane violation, various types of infractions. If there's something that indicates a breaking of the law or a basis for stopping, then they are stopping people. Now, their data, and we can go into that, I'm not going to go into it in this amount of time though, indicates that there's a direct correlation between increased traffic stops and a reduction of many types of crime, including auto thefts, assaults, various types of property crimes. Maybe I can go into this a little later, but I have the data here in the charts to show the data indicates a direct correlation between increased traffic stops and reduction of crime. The point is, now when someone is stopped, and I'm not MPD, I'm just representing what the information shows and what the briefings show and what has been shared with the community by the department. When someone is stopped, the idea is not just to issue citations and tickets. And someone is stopped and they learn that it's the teacher, Mrs. Smith, going home from school, she's just issued a warning. Or if it's Mr. Jones, who happens to have a faulty brake light or tail light, they are not given a citation. It's not an attempt to get some quota on citations. On the other hand, when the stop is made and it's someone who has a warrant, or there are drugs and drug paraphernalia, clearly, a parent in the car or whatever, then they make that a